It is now my pleasure to give the floor to the GeMUN director, Daniele Orlando. Mr. Director, you have the floor.
Dear guests and participants, it is with utmost joy and pride that I welcome you and express my gratitude for participating in the 21st edition of GeMUN. While there is an endless list of thank yous to be made for the success of a conference, today I only want to make one, and that is to all of you. Over 400 young women and young men from Italy, Europe, and all around the world who have embraced the role of adults for a couple of days and are already doing a much better job than the real ones. You truly are an inspiration, so with the permission of the mistress of ceremony, please give yourself a huge round of applause. Thank you to my wonderful students. Thank you to our 4 assistants, Bianca, Elisa, Francesca, and Marta, for saving the day every single day. And finally, a heartfelt thank you to the people seated at this table. Matteo, you have led an amazing team just by being the incredible human being that you are. So thank you. GeMUN and I are going to miss you terribly. Okay, back to business. I don't think many of you know, maybe no one at all, that the title for this year's conference, Generation Next, actually comes from a 1997 song by none other than the Spice Girls. It served as a promotional campaign for a very famous fizzy drink at the time. The verse goes, "It's a celebration, motivation, generation next. We are sowing the seeds, every color, every creed. Teach, never preach, listen up and take heed." It sounds almost poetic when you read it like that, but in true Spice Girls fashion, it's actually a very powerful message of positivity and activism. Oh, the Spice Girls, you have no idea. You don't know what it means to feel heartbroken unless you were a kid in the 90s and on May 31st, 1998, as you were coming back home from school, you came to the announcement that Ginger Spice, Jerry Halliwell, had left the Spice Girls. The world stopped turning, planes fell out of the skies, residents made their way to bomb shelters to prepare for the end of the Spice world. All of the values of girl power and friendship never ending, just gone. It was the end of the world as we know it. That is heartbreaking. But what do you know about heartbreak? The only thing that might come close for you is when One Direction announced their hiatus, but at least we got Harry Styles out of it. So yeah, what do you know about heartbreak? It's not like in the last 3 years, the world as we knew it actually shuttered with a global pandemic, a war or two. And it's not like you would care anyways, your Generation Z, after all. And to be precise, I keep on saying you, but rest assured, my generation, the millennials, is just as hated by the elderly. But today the focus is all on you, you little monsters, self-absorbed, who expect everyone to come at your feet and for your parents to clean up your rooms well into your 20s. You are a generation that lives behind your screens, applying beauty filters, believing influencers, playing video games, and watching too much porn. From complaints that you are both too cautious and downright dangerous, too worried about the future, and at the same time too self-absorbed to even care. All the people love to gripe about the lazy and entitled youth. But it's nothing new. If you delve into the archives, you will see there are so many parallels stretching as far back as 700 before Christ with Hesiod, the Greek poet, and so many others. As if every generation had been born parentless in a remote vitriol removed from current culture and values not raised by their predecessors. To be fair, if you ask me, I don't actually believe the youth is ever as bad as the elderly make it out to be. I just think that they compare kids these days to a very romanticized memory from their past. And yet, what do I know? What do you know? Ever since I became an uncle 3 years ago, I find myself quite often wondering, what kind of world are we living for the future? Is this mess the world I envision for my baby boy? And when I think about that, all I can think about is, I'm sorry. I'm sorry that we live in a world that is unpredictable, a world that we're full of uncertainties that force you to rethink your future. I'm sorry we live in a world that is too hot, that is melting, that is burning down, with no serious policy focus from world leaders. I'm sorry we live in a world where a woman is killed every 11th second by her partner for the simple reason that she's a woman. I'm sorry that people are still being judged for being comfortable in their own bodies after all of the sexual revolutions that our parents had to fight for. I'm sorry we live in an age where seeing the world around us has become a luxury for few, while the rest still struggle to find stable employment and are more likely to afford avocados than proper education or a house of their own. I'm sorry we live in constant information overload where everything lasts but a second and everyone always thinks they know better than you. It's a world of addiction, stress, and anxiety under the pressure of always having to perform better than anyone else. I'm sorry we live in a world where we still need the Pope's approval to decide what to do with our bodies and with our lives. I'm sorry we live in a world where it's still not acceptable to love who we love. And these are just third world problems. I find it very convenient that all of these very self-referential politicians and authorities remind you of your responsibilities for the future. You are the voice of the future, which I think you are. But what about the present? I only see you, young people, get into the streets to fight for the planet. I only see you on social media fighting the patriarchy. I only hear you screaming, "Stop the genocide." But your words are censored on the internet, your peaceful protests are constantly obstructed by police brutality. I live in a country where if you go to the theater and shout, "Long live anti-fascist Italy," you are identified by the police. But if you go to a neo-fascist gathering with Roman salutes and banners, you are not. It only makes sense if you feel overwhelmed and disheartened by all of these challenges. I am sorry. And it is a terrible world. And yet, it's a wonderful world. It's a world of opportunities, however hard they might appear. Oh, you have the power of time in your hands. You are the voice of the future, yes you are, but you are the voice of the present. Your empathy and awareness today are going to be crucial for a better world. So don't you ever get discouraged by the idea that this is the way it is and there is nothing you can do to change things. Let's continue to strive for progress and justice together. We were not made to fall in line. So keep making your voice heard and always stand on the right side of history. Do it for yourself, for your future selves, and do it for those who don't have the same luck, the same privilege to be in that position. Get angry and fight for your rights and for those who cannot fight. But don't go to war for that. You have words, use them wisely. Dialogue, diplomacy, if you wish, is always the answer. So maybe do it for Hind Rajab, who was only 6 years old, and now will never have the chance to be young. Because most importantly, what I wish for you is to be young. Like Oscar Wilde would say, I hope you live the wonderful life that is in you. I wish you would stop worrying about the future and think about it with optimism. I hope you embrace being light and content. I hope you laugh about nothing and find beauty in the smallest of things. I hope you love all imperfections and wear the colors of the world. I hope you fall in love madly and maybe get your heart broken and grow from it. I hope you find amazing friends who protect you and nurture you and love you for who you are. I hope you have good families who listen to you and good teachers that see you. I wish you never feel lost, but if you do, I hope that you know that it's okay and that will be all right. I hope you make mistakes and learn from them. I hope you give yourself time to figure out who you are and to decide what type of person you want to be. I wish for you to be kind and for life to treat you kindly. And I hope you dream big. I hope you do much, much better than we did. I hope you are free. I wish for you to study and get informed because this is how you become free. I wish you to learn every day, in every minor detail, in every book that you read, in every song that you sing, in every word that you hear, and from every soul that you meet. It is such a wonderful world, and it doesn't go backwards, it only goes forwards. So be young and enjoy it. Thank you from the bottom of my heart. I yield the floor back to the mistress of ceremony.
Thank you, Mr. Orlando, for your inspiring speech. We'll now entertain the opening speeches of